if you listen to interviews Bob Arum has been doing leading up to this Frank Martin Gervonta Tank Davis fight, he is very optimistic all of a sudden that Gervonta Tank Davis will fight his man Vasyl Lomachenko next, or later this year, sometime around November. And Boxing News also spoke to Gervonta Davis's trainer, Calvin Ford here. He seems like the fight could happen according to him, but he is very much just being a trainer here. He's not pretending to know more than he does. So yeah, make of that what you will. And this tweet from Michael Benson from that interview Bob Arum did, he says, Arum does, I'm optimistic. The PBC guys are professionals. My team are professionals and they'll work it out. So very, very interesting. Could this fight actually happen? I mean, how many years has Gervonta Tank Davis been avoiding Vasyl Lomachenko like the plague? I mean, it was so funny when Lomachenko looked like the Loma of old when he destroyed George Kambosos. Tank Davis jumps on the internet and says, hey Loma, let's fight. And I was thinking to myself, like everybody, I was like, what, are you going to wait until he's 60 until you fight him? It is what it is. But let's not forget that Tank Davis has been improving, and Lomachenko, even though he looked like $1 million against George Kambosos, styles did play into that to an extent. So will Lomachenko look the same against the likes of William Zepeda and Barinchik? And will he look the same against guys like Shakur Stevenson, etc.? Questions. So the timing, it would actually make sense for Tank Davis to call for the fight. And the other part that I wanted to focus on is that Bob Arum is extremely, and I mean extremely, dismissive of his man Shakur Stevenson fighting Lomachenko. And this is really, really disappointing because it's, look, whether you like Shakur Stevenson or not, whether you find him boring or not, look, I do not like watching the guy fight a lot of the time, but you can't deny that he has been calling for the big fights for a while. He's been calling out Lomachenko for a while. And I understand that the news is that because of what was going on in Lomachenko's home country, he wasn't able to fight Stevenson last year in November. So I don't think Lomachenko was afraid of Shakur Stevenson, of course. I mean, look at the challenges Lomachenko has taken on at a stage where he is getting older and older and slower. So, yeah, there's no reason for me to think that he's afraid of Shakur Stevenson. But is Shakur Stevenson the toughest fight for him in the division? I think he is. And it's just disappointing that Bob Arum, he's treating Shakur Stevenson much like he treated Guillermo Rigondeaux when he smashed up his man Nonito Donaire. And yeah, it is what it is. Bob Arum, he's no stranger to this whatsoever, but just because he's talking positively about the fight, does it really mean that the fight is going to happen? Because, again, Tank Davis has been avoiding Lomachenko for more than half a decade, and just because Tank Davis may want it, I mean, it doesn't mean that Al Heyman will go for it. Then you've got the whole dynamic between Al Heyman and Floyd Mayweather, which I am going to be uploading videos from my latest discussion with Rick Glazer where we talked about Mayweather and the PBC and Richard Schaefer jumping in. So with Richard Schaefer becoming the new man, could he, I mean, there's a potential there for Richard Schaefer to become the leader of PBC. So if not, and he just stays with Mayweather Promotions, it could become bigger than it's ever been before. And that would mean being a bit more independent from Al Heyman, in which case this fight could potentially happen. I mean, Bob Arum's dealt with Richard Schaefer for years, so there's all kinds of questions there. I would love to see the fight. Again, as much as Tank Davis has waited for Lomachenko to get older, it's still a really good fight. Let's not beat around the bush. And if Lomachenko is able to take out Tank Davis at this stage, then I mean that just builds his career up even more in terms of what he's accomplished. And it would be easier to make the Shakur Stevenson fight, but again, he is so unhappy with his deal with Top Rank. it just seems like a given he's going to leave. Because Bob Arum says a lot of very, not so subtle digs to Stevenson in this interview. He says things like, Shakur came up to me and apologized, and you need to go out there, you need to perform, you need to make people want to watch, etc. And all of that may be true, but at the end of the day, he is your fighter, so you should be defending him. As comical as it is that Davis has ducked Lomachenko like the plague, I still would like to see the fight. And yeah, do you guys feel bad at all for Shakur Stevenson? Let me know what you guys think. Like the video and subscribe to the channel for more as always.